Hi, this is Jeremy with Fundamental Tennis. In today's video, we're not going to talk about technique, we're not going to talk about strategy, we're going to talk about something that's also very important, and that is decision making. Specifically, the decision making and how to play the ball. This means, are you going to take the ball on the rise, are you going to take the ball as it's falling, or are you going to take the ball when it's at the peak of the bounce? I'm going to explain what that stuff means. If you don't already, I'll explain that very soon. And we're going to talk specifically about receiving the ball to your backhand side. You've got a high ball. How do you play the ball? Again, do you take it on the rise, do you take it at the top of the bounce, or do you take it on the fall? So knowing how to play the ball will help you avoid hitting high contact backhands, because nobody likes to hit a high ball on their backhand side that's near their shoulder or head height. So this video is going to help you to no longer hit those high contact shots on the backhand side. As many times the players tell me they want to work on the high backhand, I often say let's work on how we can avoid hitting high backhands. The first option you have to avoiding hitting a high backhand is to run around the backhand to hit a forehand. This sounds simple, but many players don't do it. I feel the most important thing here is to be able to read the height, speed, and direction of the ball you're receiving, so you can very quickly determine if you can run around that ball to hit a forehand. It's important that you're able to set your feet before you hit this run around forehand, otherwise you should not have ran around it because you didn't have the time to. Now, it's important, a couple notes here, to turn the hips perpendicular to the net as early as possible when you make that first move to get around that backhand and hit a forehand. It's important to create space because remember, the ball is coming towards you, not away from you like it would for a backhand. The nice thing about running around the backhand to hit a forehand is you get to upgrade to your better shot. I know most of you have better forehands than backhands. This is also much more difficult when running around the backhand to hit a forehand for the opponent to anticipate where you're going to hit the ball since you ran around it, and you also can hit the ball down the line or cross court more easily as opposed to if it was a backhand. The next option is to take the ball on the rise. This is my personal favorite. This should be done when the ball is a little too fast to run around it to hit a forehand. The ball you're receiving is going to be about medium speed and medium height, about 10 to 20 feet over the net. This way of playing the ball is the most advanced and most difficult, but it can be the most rewarding. When taking the ball on the rise, it's important to have a shorter backswing, as it's already more difficult to time this swing when taking the ball on the rise. When taking the ball on the rise, try to make contact between knee and stomach height. Taking the ball on the rise allows you to keep a decent position on the court as opposed to backing up to a defensive position. Receiving this ball, in my experience, is easily the most difficult ball for people to handle because it's not a low fast ball and it's not a moon ball or rainbow trajectory. It's somewhere in between, and players back up when they shouldn't. What you want to do is hold your ground and take the ball on the rise so you can make contact at the ideal contact point. For those of you who have a decent slice backhand, here is another option. When receiving a high ball, this slice backhand is going to be most commonly used on a wide ball near the alley, in which you may not have time to run around it to hit a forehand since the ball is quite wide off the court. You may prefer this slice as opposed to backing up to the back fence. You should make contact near or at the peak of the bounce when hitting this slice. You should not take the ball on the rise when slicing, as that's going to cause a lot of errors due to you approaching your racket to the ball with an open face as the ball is rising. You should swing down more so than a typical slice since it is a high contact shot. Now I want to mention that pros use all 4 ways to play the ball. All 4 ways that I've mentioned in this video. I'm about to give you the 4th one. Pros use all 4 of them, and you can too. Now another option, the last option, is to back up and make contact after the ball's apex and as the ball is falling. This can be done on a high, slow ball in which the ball has decent depth, and this can be especially beneficial for those of you who are like me and have better backhand. Make sure to not backpedal and also stay away from shuffling. You should take crossover steps, as you can see I'm doing here. You need to take crossover steps when you need to move quickly. Be sure to aim higher over the net for safety and to buy time in order to move forward again and hug the baseline. An honorable mention I'd like to bring up is a swinging volley or a traditional volley in which you take the ball out of the air. This can be used on very high balls. I have also seen some players have success with letting the ball bounce and taking an overhead. To reach your full potential, you must use every way to play the ball depending on the situation you're in. This video was all about showing you the different ways you can receive or play the ball so that you can get the ball into your strike zone, which is the most important thing in tennis. You must fight for your contact point. If you found this video useful, please subscribe to my channel. Click that notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos. I'd like to quickly summarize how you can make the decision of which way to play the ball each time the ball comes to your backhand side. The most important factor that determines how to play the ball is your strengths and weaknesses. Okay? If you don't feel confident in your slice backhand, then I would prefer you to not hit a slice backhand. I'd like you to back up maybe, or take the ball in the rise, or maybe run around and hit a forehand instead. So keep in mind your strengths and weaknesses, and also your athletic ability. If you're very fast, then maybe you could back up to balls that many people should be taking on the rise because you have the speed to get there. So your physical ability and your strengths and weaknesses, just overall with your game, that is, I feel, the most important thing to determine how to play the ball and all this stuff that we've talked about in this video. Now the second thing is, what is the ball you're receiving? This is a very important one. What is the height of the ball you're receiving? What is the depth of the ball, the speed of the ball? That'll largely determine how you should play the ball as well. And then lastly, are you on defense or are you on offense? If you're on offense, then it could be a great idea to take the ball on the rise and take time away from the opponent. However, if you're on defense, you want to buy time, you might want to back up and let that ball fall and send a high ball back so you can get back in the point and reset, try to get the rally to neutral. So what phase of the point are you in? In other words, what's going on in that rally? Because that will determine if you want to take time away or buy time. So use all three of these things to determine how to play the ball. And a lot of times you just use your natural instinct. Figure out, the most important thing I feel really is just simply, how can I get the ball in my strike zone? So you want to hit it at about stomach height. Is backing up the best way to hit it in your strike zone? Is the best way to hit in your strike zone take on the rise? Is it running around the backhand? Or is it just simply hitting maybe a high contact slice? Okay? So figure out what works best for you. Just go on the practice court and try it out, experiment, have some fun with it. And I look forward to seeing you next week.